My 11 Circle presents Cricbuzz Live. Very important technical question. I'm just having a look at my watch. We were wondering and discussing, is it possible to make a dinner appointment or not? And I think the answer is quite possibly yes, gentlemen.
Definitely yes. Because Guptill and Munro are going to come out hell for leather. I mean, they don't have to, but they've seen what West Indies did. They know what net run rate is. So they won't want to finish it off in 15, 20 overs, but they'll come pretty quickly. So another disappointing batting day at the World Cup.
Yes, the My 11 Circle expert couch, of course, won't go to anyone unless you do count reading of lips. Because if you were to watch that show all over again, Harsha was trying to suggest that I had said 137
and
one run away.
They got 136. But I'm improving by the day. I'm now, I got almost 50, they got 50%, right? Almost, as a 250 something.
Yeah.
So I'm getting closer. I'm only about 120 off.
Yeah, that's probably the total number of runs that will be scored in the game. Yeah, so fair enough.
There you are.
Before we come to Zaheer Khan, let's just remind you of exactly what's happened at the halfway point. Well, it's not quite the halfway point because, well, they batted a few more overs than Pakistan, but didn't make it to the 30th over. 136 all out, one-man show from the captain there, certainly batting like the way the rest of the middle order should have batted. Kusal Perera showed the aggression he's known to show, and as did his namesake Tisara Perera down the order, but they just didn't have the patience to hang around for those 50 overs. And I think, again, the one point of discussion we'll have to talk about here is how different this was from the Pakistan effort against the West Indies, where they were clearly blasted out by the short ball. Here, it was more an intelligent approach from New Zealand, but they used the conditions well, except Trent Bolt.
Well, the surface pretty much decides what are the strategies are going to be and what kind of approach one should have, be it bowling or batting. So in Trent Bridge, what we saw was typically extra bounce in the wicket, which West Indies bowlers really used it to perfection, got the reward for that. And here, it was perfect case of pitching the ball up, because that's what at the toss experts were also saying, that okay, this is the kind of wicket where you got to get the ball up, bowl a bit like test match lengths. And that is something which is going to give you the desired results and get as close to the off stump as possible. And you've seen a couple of wickets which was clearly suggestive of that fact, like especially that Kushal Mendes. I mean, I've been talking about it. The first ball, any bowler bowling that first ball to any batsman. If you get in that corridor of uncertainty, as they call it, and especially in these kind of conditions, those words, that old school thinking, or how we used to see cricket earlier, that is something which is required here. And Karuna Ratne is a prime example of that. I think any batsman who is hanging in there, just playing according to the merit of the ball and play time. I think it's English conditions. If these are the kind of surfaces which will be on offer, you got to take your time. You don't have to be stuck with the format. You don't have to be stuck with that usual scoreboard pressure. As we speak about, we've been talking about those. How many 48 300 plus scores have been...
England alone have made 38 300 plus scores.
Yeah, so we don't have to be, as a team, they don't have to be stuck with that. You got to play the conditions, you got to take your time and set the platform. So if imagine if you have 3 Karuna Ratre in that Sri Lankan batting lineup. I'm just saying in terms of approach, if you apply yourself in that fashion, have a strike rate of 60 to 70. And play those 30-35 overs, and then see how you can encash those last 15 overs. And with the modern day approach of the game, in the last 15 overs, you can actually get 120, 130 runs easily.
I know.
So you got to approach the game in that fashion.
I'm just thinking, I hope nobody sees the pre-tournament shows again. Nobody rewinds and sees. I'm talking about 350 plus scores, and we talked about what's going to happen at this World Cup, about dry pitches. I wonder if it's to do with the weather. It's been colder. I heard Simon say on the commentary that today is one of the warmer days. It's in the early 20s. So I wonder if it's because of that, if it's the conditions are hurting the Asian teams. But it's been, where's 350? We're struggling to play 30 overs here.
But since it was warm, this particular score came on the warmest possible day, almost 24 degrees in Cardiff. Let's have a quick look at the fall of wickets. And what you can tell here is that while, as we said, they weren't quite blasted out, if you just have a look down that list, Harsha, and you'll be able to pick out a few of them who were not necessarily done in by gaffers.
Tirumana LBW, Pereira swish caught trying to slog the bowler. Mendes got a great ball. Dhananjay De Silva, well, again LBW. I don't think we can compare this to yesterday, where Pakistan's batsmen were completely inept against a short ball. Angelo Matthews again got a good ball. Jeevan Mendes on the front foot caught at gully. Thisara Pereira out the way he normally is, and then you're into the tail. So it wasn't that the batsman was struggling against the quick ball, but maybe struggling more against the moving ball.
Yeah. I just like two intents here. I think Karuna Ratne was really applying himself and looked comfortable in these conditions. And I like Kushal Pereira's approach as well. At that stage, that kind of intent was required, because when someone is doing that counter at that stage, then the bowling also, the lengths go haywire, the lines go haywire, and that's something which you have to put a little bit of pressure on the bowler as well. You can't let bowlers settle and take advantage of the conditions to the fullest. So that intent was seen. Yes, he got a little carried away. He saw that tough phase. He had the partnership with Karunaratne and then got out. Was a soft dismissal in the end. But I like the intent, and similar kind of intent was shown by Thisara Pereira as well at the back end of the innings. But that worked. What they lacked was that in between, someone soaking in that pressure. And going forward, if any of the teams are stuck in similar kind of situations, and if they put up a winning total on the board, you will see 2 or 3 batsmen applying themselves and seeing that phase off. When around 25 overs, things start to get easier. Then that is where you can encash. But the important thing is, as a team, as a batting unit, you have to get to that situation. You have to create that scenario.
So because of that, I'm wondering whether teams will say, listen, all this 350 talk nonsense, forget about it for now. Let's start conservatively. Let's keep wickets in the first 10, which is pretty much how India play. If you look at all the numbers we had before the tournament started for India were among the slower sides in the first 10 overs. India go about 4.5, 4.7, 4.8. So average less than 5 in the first 10 overs. But if you don't lose wickets, then people like Rohit Sharma, people like Virat Kohli can score a lot at the end. So I just wonder if teams will now start to go a little more conservative, saying forget the 350. Let's just go conservative first 10, 12 overs, 15 overs. And as you said, the ball starts to get easier after each has been used for 10 overs, so after 20 overs. Then let's try and score runs afterwards.
The template is 99 World Cup. I think if they go back to 99 World Cup, get your data analysts to go back, okay, find out what kind of approaches team had, because remember that year the Duke's ball was used in that World Cup, and because of that it was favouring a lot to the bowlers, and that World Cup bowlers actually made a huge impact on that tournament. So that's something, it won't be a bad thing for teams to just go back,
even though
see the data, see the statistics. Yeah, I mean, see how teams have built their innings. What kind of approaches they had.
Maybe even pull out who are the players who are around in either commentary roles, coaching roles, whatever they are. Try and glean.
No, it's interesting what Zach is saying, because that was a Duke's ball, but that was one ball that was used.
Yeah.
Whereas here we're having two Kookaburra balls which hate the seam. Yeah, it's a strange thing. The product hates its own seam. But as you said, you might see something similar, because you look down and you look up in England. In most parts of the world where the World Cup, let's say it's played in India, you don't look up that much. You only look down. In England, you look down and up. So maybe that's the reason. I'm just starting to wonder whether teams will start playing it differently now. I know. Tomorrow as a third Asian team, it'll be interesting to see how they.
At the start of the show, I know I was trying to be over conservative and I suggested 10 overs, 25 without loss. But it's not the worst thing to look at that kind of a score.
In fact, I thought at one point that 3 for 82 or 4 for 82 from a bowler might not be bad, because I thought it's going to be a 350 World Cup. You're right, 35 for no loss may not be a bad start.
Yeah. And since Zaheer mentioned test match lengths which were getting the bowlers' wickets, it was a test match approach from a man who plays test cricket essentially, Karunaratne, which saw him carry his bat, first person since Ridley Jacobs to do it in a World Cup game. So again, that's the kind of approach.
Ridley Jacobs, West Indies, he opened for a brief while. Which World Cup it was? 96, 99, 96?
99.
99 again? Okay.
Again, the 99 World Cup, a lesson from 99, even from the batting point of view. So I think it's a very good point that you've made there. So if you've had a person carrying his bat 10, it was obviously, there was a reason why he did that, wicket falling at the other end.
And teams accelerating at the back end, but you can only do that when you have wickets in hand. And as things start to ease out, as that prominent seam goes down, things ease out, the lateral movement goes down. So that's something which as a batting unit, you have to wait for the right opportunity and say, okay, you can have one or two guys doing that counter like we saw from Kushal Pereira, that kind of innings. If it comes off, it's fine. If it doesn't, then again go back to your routine test match template, where you just soak in time. Even in test matches, that 3.5 runs per over is not that difficult to think.
The other thing we're seeing is after about 15 overs are gone, you're in your backup seamers. You're probably into your 4th, 5th bowler already. Yeah. And so batting becomes that much easier when you get into the 15th over. So let's see. Just as we thought that 3 for 82 may not be bad figures, let's see as we go along where the teams get conservative. And we've got 2 more Asian teams playing.
And you're talking about conservative from a batting point of view. What about the opposite from the bowling point of view, where you include that 3rd or 4th seamer suddenly after seeing this?
Well, again, it's a great example from Williamson today, that how he set the fields. He had men in the ring for 6 or 7 of them, even after first power play was over. So that's something which a lot of captain needs to be proactive, because you have to think wickets, you have to make things happen. If there is help in the wicket, then you have to get your main bowlers bowling up front rather than holding them for the back end of the innings. It might be too late. You might not have that much of help available by the time they come on to bowl, or if there is a partnership being made in the middle. So it'll be interesting to see now how captains are approaching, because they have to really be on that front foot rather than letting things. Passive captains will have tough time. I think aggressive captains will have a good time being out there in England, especially if the surface is helping them.
A couple of things I'm thinking about. We talked about the 2 wrist spinners such a lot. I wonder whether India will want to go in with 3 seamers if conditions stay like Hardik as a 4th rather than as the 3rd, and whether you might want to have KL Rahul as 3 in case an early wicket goes, and say that, look, you need someone to bat all the way down. I know I've been a huge proponent of not changing your best batsman's batting number, but I don't know, there's so many things up in the air. This World Cup is headed where we didn't think it would. I know it's only the 3rd game, but let's see how the Asian teams play. We've got Afghanistan playing today, we've got Bangladesh playing tomorrow. So let's see how they go about it.
Yep, so I'm sure India will be keeping a close eye on that. But another aspect of the game that we haven't talked about, because obviously so many wickets fall, is the assistance of the fielders in at least 2 of those dismissals. And of course, their outfielding as well. And I think New Zealand were excellent in that, and Guptill led the way.
He's a lovely catcher. He's got big hands. He's always good at slip. We saw England fielding magnificently as well. So your fielding is becoming bigger. Guptill is always good closing.
Yeah, and New Zealand team over the years have been always good fielding team. The standard of fielding is just going higher and higher these days in cricket, and game is also getting more and more professional. So I think this World Cup, lush green outfields in England, you'll see a lot of diving around.
You're smiling.
Yeah,
because at the moment, good bowlers, good fielding.
Yeah, and even though that one catch was disallowed from Santner, it was one of those debatable ones. Nigel Long had to hit the button.
Yeah, he gave it very quickly. I mean,
soft signal was out.
Yeah. So he knew I guess he thought straight away that the ball was on the ground, even though I thought the fielder's hands were underneath. But
one more talking point that we've had throughout the IPL, and now it's reared its head in the World Cup as well. Not for the first time. We saw it England versus South Africa, Quinton de Kock, and today again the stumps were hit pretty flush on by the ball, and the bail, the heavier bail, the Zing bail, just
did the stumps move today?
Oh, it shook.
The stump moved, right?
Like an earthquake.
Yeah, like an earthquake. Yeah, the stump moved. The bail didn't light up. The funny thing was yesterday, or was it day before, Bruce Oxenford was the umpire. He actually went and picked up the bails to see if the circuit is working or rather the circuit is being broken enough for the lights to come up. But these are not falling.
Got to be the weight of the bail.
Yeah, IPL also had happened quite a few times.
It's happening pretty regularly, and that's something which is a concern. I'm sure none of the bowlers will be happy.
Today didn't light up either.
Didn't light up.
Not at all, and you actually could see the clear shake of the stumps. You have to compare it with the old bail, how it was, or just don't have the bails. You can have the stumps which can light up, so that whether it's if they light up.
Hotspot on the stump.
Yeah, hotspot on the
You've had a situation. I remember a test match at the Basin Reserve. It was probably the same test match where you were playing, and it had got so windy at one point in time that even the slightly heavier bail was falling off.
Yeah.
So they just took it off for a while, and Simon Dool was there as well.
These might have stayed there.
These might have stayed there. They were that heavy.
Well, these are apt for those kind of conditions.
It's a tricky one because you can't change the playing conditions once the tournament started. So you can't say, let's give it out if the light comes on. Now, even if you agree, let's give it out when the light comes on, but the light didn't come on today. The stump moved because the bail didn't go up. The moment the bail goes off the groove is when the light comes on. So the bail didn't go off the groove even though the stump moved like that.
Yeah, it was so heavy that it was actually just shaking on its groove right there, like that.
Do that again?
It's almost like Kane Williamson's
referral.
How did he do it like that? Yeah, with the three fingers. And he started off with a perfect referral today. But now, really, let's focus on Sri Lanka. They haven't quite got the runs on the board. They've got 136 to defend. Maybe 180, 200, they would have had something. But they've got four seamers. And how do they approach this? I mean, you've got to go hard.
Like we said yesterday, the initial phase matters. If you don't get those early wickets, then your shoulders are going to drop. You know that it's inevitable that the game is gone out of hand, and so that's something which is going to be important to see how they approach. I mean, that's the best they can do, and this is what we've been talking about. If you're batting first, you got to find a way of putting that total on the board, which from there you can fight. If you know that you are well below par, and that initial phase goes against you, or the momentum, as we call it, is still goes with New Zealand, then it's going to be that much harder for Sri Lankan bowlers to come back in the game and believe that they can make a match out of it. As a team, as a captain, as coach, all you can say is, go out there, give your best, make sure, doesn't matter, that the intensity and the body language which you portray out there on the field doesn't go down. Because mind you, this is the first game of the World Cup. You still have 8 games to play, so you got to make sure that this loss or this lack of optimum performance doesn't really hamper your campaign. So that's something which each individual needs to be guarded of their own space to make sure that they stay positive, irrespective of what's the outcome.
For teams like Pakistan, especially for teams like Sri Lanka, even more so than Pakistan, you have to take advantage of the fact that it's a 9-game World Cup and try and come back strongly. Because if you don't, the same 9-game World Cup can then start working against you. You lose your first 3-4 games and you think, damn, I've got to play 5 more games, man. Let this get over quickly. So they've got to come back strongly. I think if they pick up 5 or 6 wickets today, then they'll think, okay, we had a bad day in the field, but at least a bad day with the bat. At least we got something out in the field, and they've got to start getting their best bats or not. Today, Angelo Matthews batted at 6. I know I'm like a stuck record, but if you look down the batting averages of all the Sri Lankan batsmen, Karunaratne averages 40, Angelo Matthews averages 47, and all the others are sort of 20s, early 30s.
Yeah.
So what's he doing batting at 6?
Yeah, there was suggestion that he was being protected against.
Game's over by then.
Yeah, the game's over by then.
The game's over by then.
But you mentioned the dressing room. There's Karunaratne, relatively new captain. Hathura Singh is there. Malinga will be saying a few things as they walk out.
Yeah, I'm actually impressed with Karunaratne. He's contributed with the bat. He looked calm at the toss as well. So I think from that point of view, Sri Lanka's campaign looks pretty comfortable. I think he should be able to lead from the front. He should be able to motivate the guys and make sure that they stay focused right throughout the campaign, irrespective of the result.
I wonder whether somewhere a selector thought, forget whether he fits into the side or no, let's just pick the best man to be captain. They might have stumbled onto something. Let's see how he leads. When they come out to field, we'll get a better idea.
We will. Well, it's time for us to go centre stage. But for a change, we won't go to Simon Dool, because if we did that, all he'd do is gloat. So instead, we'll go to our man, Danish Seth, who's been trying to get a sense of the environment, of the atmosphere around the World Cup.
Hey guys, my name is Danish. This is Center Stage and it's now time for some gaming. We're right in front of the Tower Bridge. Growing up, I thought this was the London Bridge. In fact, Google it, 9 out of 10 images will say this is the London Bridge. But it's a myth. This is the Tower Bridge. In front of us is the structure of the Tower Bridge. And the people of England now have to save this thing from falling down. It's game time. Answer a set of World Cup questions. If you get them right, you save the London Bridge from falling down. Hello, sir.
Yeah, hi.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What is your name, sir?
My name is Dharmendra.
Oh, Dharmendra ke saath. Which part of the world are you from?
I'm from Sri Lanka.
Oh, galti ho gayi. Okay, fine. Now, Dharmendra, sir, you have a chance to keep this entire Tower Bridge together. I'm going to be asking you questions from the 96 World Cup. What unique feat was achieved by Sri Lanka when they won the 96 World Cup?
No idea.
Okay, sir, respectfully, I'm going to take this off, sir. It was the first host nation to win the trophy.
Oh.
Which teams didn't tour Sri Lanka due to security concerns and had to forfeit their games?
Australia, maybe.
And
Windies? I don't know. Okay. Thanks.
where was the final played of this World Cup?
Yeah, that is I remember.
Where?
Pakistan. Lahore, I guess.
You are killing it. Next question. A former World Cup winning team was bowled out for 93 by a non-test playing nation. Which game are we talking about?
Maybe Scotland against some team. I don't know. I don't know.
So the correct answer is Kenya versus West Indies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we'll take this off.
Kenya.
What unique feat did Arvinda de Silva repeat in the World Cup that had happened only once before?
Yeah, man of the match on the both semi.
Correct. Who was the man of the tournament in the 1996 World Cup?
Yeah, Jayasuriya, Sanam.
Who became the first batsman to score 300s in a single World Cup? Think, sir, think. I'll come. Jaldi bolo.
Sachin is the player, man.
No, yeah. Take this. Sir, you're dropping this entire thing, sir. Come on. Who did Sachin Tendulkar score?
Tell me the answer.
Mark Waugh. Who did Sachin Tendulkar score his first World Cup 100 against? I throw one country's name, sir.
Then you are going to remove the bridge.
Arey, you're trying to save the bridge also. Oh, Zemedari. Give the answer, sir. What is
Australia, maybe.
Oh! You're dropping the bridge. Sir, this is it, sir. This is it. This is the last one. Okay. Okay. What was India's score when the semi-finals was awarded to Sri Lanka due to unruly crowds? What is the score?
Sorry, I don't remember.
Sir, please, sir. With that, 1996 World Cup made one man cry. His name was Vinod Kambli. The second man is me. Let's cry and take a picture in front of this, sir. Come.
I wonder if the Sri Lankans who won that particular World Cup are feeling like that bridge is kind of fallen down, ready to cry. Well. It was capturing the atmosphere sort of around there. Even a Sri Lankan was kind of...
But somehow the rhyme doesn't feel right when you sing Tower Bridge is falling down.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It's all London
Doesn't,
Bridge,
doesn't.
right?
And I know there are lots of people who actually mistake it because that's the iconic figure. London Bridge looks like nothing on earth. It's just another bridge which has
You're always told that is London Bridge.
True.
Tower Bridge. Okay, I will go there and say, I know it's Tower Bridge.
Yes. Well, strange things have happened, and we've also, another strange thing happening there is if you thought that was green in Cardiff, it's apparently even greener at Bristol. That ground, yes, with the block of flats which is overlooking best view in the house, but the Afghanistan captain has won the toss and decided to bat first. So he's asking the likes of Mitchell Starc and Pat Cummins that here's a ball, brand new, two of them actually, go out and bowl first. I'm not sure if that pitch report is true, but I would trust Wasim Akram on this one.
The pitch report on the Cricbuzz app says, I see green, green and green across to the other end.
I'm reading the same one.
It's green. And Afghanistan are batting first. And my favorite, Afghanistan has my favorite opening combination.
Mohammad Shahzad and Hazratullah
Hazratullah
Zaheer, him of the 6 sixes.
They will not block a ball. They will not block a ball.
If they touch a ball, they certainly won't block it. But if that pitch report is anything to go by, I'm not sure what's going to happen. How much of a chance will the likes of Mujibur Rahman and Rashid Khan actually get a chance? Will there be enough runs on the board for them to
Australia said
defend?
they wanted to bat first as well, apparently.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Good covering of grass, there's moisture, everything, but both captains wanted to bat first. Vaz did the pitch report.
You got to trust him with that. If they're seeing green all around.
Yeah.
Bristol traditionally is a wicket, where you like to bat first, and the wicket is usually good for batting. So that may be the reason, and Afghanistan might be thinking that, okay, for spinners to come into play, the best time for them to bowl is later half in the innings. But
Maybe.
once again, they have to put the runs on board.
Put the runs on the board, correct?
They have to put the runs on the board, but the Australian bowlers will be queuing up to bowl. If that greenery is anything to go by, sometimes the green covering can just be solidity.
Very
there you have it.
predictable side.
Stark, Cummins, Coulter Isle.
You could have predicted the side a month ago. You could have picked the side a month ago. Stark, Cummins, Coulter Isle can nip the ball around, right?
Yeah,
He
yeah.
nips the ball around very well. So if there is really some moisture, you might be good.
Well, that bowling attack is looking solid, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So.
Yeah, no
looking
Nathan
for
Lyon
Pat
over there,
Cummins,
but obviously
Pat
you've got to
Cummins
pick.
for sure. Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of grass on the track, so Nathan Lyon, Maxwell will do that job if required. Off spinner is required. You have Zampa for sure, so that's something which Stoinis can bowl a bit. So they have enough options to play around. It'll be interesting to see how they go on about putting the pressure on this Afghanistan inexperienced batting lineup.
Yep, the same kind of pressure that a man called Saurav Ganguly is going to put on all of you when you go to choose your My 11 circle. It's not just about the team you choose, because you're taking on Dada. And Dada ka vada is that if you can beat him, there will be rewards in store for you. So 5 times more cash is what you'll get if you can beat the team that he chooses. You now know the 11s for Afghanistan and for Australia. You know that Afghanistan have bravely won the toss and decided to bat first. So maybe pack it in with your Australian bowlers. Maybe make one of them captain. Let's not talk strategies here, because you can always give those things away.
Just last word on that. On the app, I'm reading what Gulbuddin Naib said. He said, looks a good wicket flat as well, and we have 3 spinners. So that's what you were saying. But what did Finch say? He says, not that hard on top. And hopefully we can get some movement early on. So, I don't know. There's the pitch. You know better.
Yeah, I think, as I said, I mean, sometimes green can be
Get to
deceptive.
200, 250 and this Afghanistan team can do wonders.
If they can get to 200, 250, certainly. I mean, those 2 openers, if they've got the right conditions, will be explosive. But let's quickly get back to the game we've been focusing on. I know it's just not enough. It's just not enough. But if you suddenly have them 15 for 3.
That's what they need. Otherwise, they got no chance. They've got to get that wicket, especially with the ball. If they can get the ball to swing early on. We saw Lakmal actually when he came to India. He bowled beautifully, Suranga Lakmal. So Lakmal and Malinga have to get those wickets early.
Yeah. And the approach from New Zealand top order, especially the openers, will be the same. They'll look to dominate, and there is the opportunity in that as well, because the track there is something with the new ball for the fast bowlers to work with. So that will be interesting to see what kind of approach Guptill has. Guptill has these hard hands as well, and more often than not, you've seen that if you get the ball in the right area as a fast bowler, you always have slips in play. So that's something which we'll have to wait and see. If they nick couple early, then it'll be an interesting match to witness. Still, I feel New Zealand is got a far better chance of winning this match than Sri Lanka.
Yeah, we talk about Guptill, Williamson and Taylor, but the guy who can really go after it is Munro. So he'll play only one way. He'll go after it. They've got batting down to 8, really. So I wonder if they'll say, okay, Guptill you bat as an opener does, Munro you go for it. I don't know. But both these guys, if they last, then they'll get this game done in 20-22 overs.
Which is exactly sort of the approach the West Indies had. I mean, it's a different matter. Chris Gayle plays only one way, but it was not just him. Shea Hope decided he lost his wicket doing that, but they were sort of going with that approach. Maybe you get a few rained out games, net run rate could come into the picture for that 4th slot.
I'm telling you, the one thing the IPL has taught us, 14-game tournament, there will be teams level on points, net run rate is important. 9 teams, there could be a jam for the 4th place, net run rate very important.
Yes, it is going to be very important. And remember, if all the predictions, if all the exit polls are anything to go by, then the West Indies and New Zealand could be the two teams who are fighting for that fourth spot.
Yeah,
But
you go the exit. You like exit polls. Okay. I mean, exit polls were correct this time. So I guess
absolutely. But let's see what happens with the exit polls on the cricket field. We'll be back, given the grace of Colin Munro and Martin Guptill and company. If they allow us, we shall be back in the 15th over with Cricbuzz Combox. Otherwise, we'll see you for My 11 Circle Presents Cricbuzz Live to wrap everything up.